start. I'll talk about the 27th day of fasting that I'm in, and then we'll get to the pandemic, which obviously is still going full bore, and I think just getting warmed up, quite frankly, as I've been saying for quite a while. I think we're still in the limbering up stages of what's really going to happen. And so let's see if this is feeding out. And if it is, please comment and say where you're at, and we'll get right started. Make sure to share this out, please. Facebook doesn't like to do it, and YouTube doesn't like to do it. And yeah, it looks like we're actually feeding out. All right, Deborah says you can hear me great. Hello in Cincinnati. Gary and Crystal in Texas. Reports for COVID-19 test results. The state of Texas took over county reports for COVID test results. What do you mean by that? Well, actually, let's get to that later. Thanks, Gary, on the green screen. I've been putting photos on it, but I think maybe it looks better like this. Well, let's talk about fasting first, and then we'll get into the pandemic and where I think it's going. Fasting. This is my 27th day. Actually, much later today, I'll start the 28th day. And so I feel fine. This morning, though, which would be, 18 hours ago or more, much longer than that, I woke up and I felt like not really hungry, but that I needed something. And when I say fasting, by the way, let's clarify that. A lot of people have different terms for what they mean by fasting. When I say, I'm an extremist, right? So when I say fasting, I mean fasting, zero food, right? So I haven't had any food for 27 days at this point, nothing. And no liquid diet, none of that. That's bullshit. It's like, in other words, I'm fasting, I'm drinking only watermelon juice. Okay, you're not fasting, you're drinking watermelon juice. I'm not eating anything, right? Whether it's liquid or whatever, you can't put a steak in the blender and blend it up and say it's liquid. So it's not, no, nothing. Water, very occasionally matcha, green tea, coffee, which I've really cut down on because I just don't want it as much, and just water and vitamin pills, like, just normal run of the mill vitamin D, vitamin C, of course, mineral, and a multivitamin. And that's it. And so, but today, not even any vinegar or anything like that. So today I woke up and I felt like I needed something, right? And hello in Brazil, by the way. My neck looks thinner. It should. Oh, you. I hope the volume's not low. Let me turn it up a little bit here. Hopefully it won't peak out. That should be a little louder for you. I don't see it peaking, so it should be a little louder now, right? Good. Joshua says, where's your data coming from? We don't have a million deaths. All right, we'll get to that. On fasting. So today I felt like I needed something, not to eat, but if at some point, if I feel like I need to eat, then I'm going to eat. I'll just stop my fast whenever I feel it. That's the previous fast that I've broken. It's been because of something like that. When I just wake up and I go, you know what? I need to eat. And your body will tell you. Your mind can trick you, but your body, you better listen to it, right? So today, I know my body was telling me I needed something, and I didn't know what. So I just laid down. I'm like, what do you need? And I thought, well, peppers. It was like one of those pica things, when women get pregnant and they start eating mud, and some will eat different colors of mud. They'll have a craving for orange mud or black mud or whatever, apparently because it has minerals in it that they need. Malnourished women will do that in some places, or any place if they're malnourished, right, to my knowledge. And so I felt like that, like I needed something and I didn't know what. So I thought peppers, garlic. And then I went to my kitchen. I was like, just smell around. If you want to eat, then eat. So I started smelling around. I was like, you know what? I need some peppers. So I got some peppers that I have, and I was using these for canning. I've been canning a lot, even though I've not been eating it. and some green ones too. Got some of those. And then I smelled around, looked around a little bit more, and I was like, you know what? I need some of these peppers too. So I got just the normal peppercorns, some of those, and then I got some ginger, which I use that for canning as well. And I chopped up some ginger. You can see it's missing a piece. and then I was like, I need garlic salt or salt, and I want garlic, and I need some salt. So I just did garlic salt, normal kind, right? And so I didn't mix sea salt. Actually, I did a tiny bit of sea salt too, and then I just I put that in a pot and I just boiled it with water, and then I strained it off and I drank that. And so after I strained it off and drank it, then I was like, okay, I don't need anything. I'm good to go. Somehow my body knew what I needed. It knew I needed like peppers, and it knew I needed black peppers and garlic salt and some ginger. I don't know. It told me, and I got it, and now I feel great. Feel fantastic. Anyway, weird fasting. And so there you go. And so I'm going to continue fasting right now. I'll be going into the 28th day later today. And if I'm this close, I might as well go for 30. But if I do feel like if I do feel at any point like I need to eat, I'm going to do it. I don't care if I'm 2 minutes before 30 days. If I'm 2 minutes before, I'll just push it to 30, but you know what I'm saying. And, but I don't feel like I need to eat right now, but I love to eat. So I do think about eating sometimes. And I'll tell you one thing about fasting too, is that when you're fasting, first of all, your olfactory senses become much better. And another thing is, you'll notice how many food advertisements there are. It's a gazillion. Soy just did 21 days of fasting. We did it together. She went to about 13 or something and wanted to push to 21. So I went with her, and then I kept on going. But when you're fasting, you'll notice you are surrounded by photos of food, of advertisements, even on the radio. It's really unbelievable. Pay attention to that. You're not going to believe how much food you see. And most of it's garbage loaded with sugar and garbage crap. Anyway, kill you food. And so, yeah. So let's see. I'll probably go to 30 at this point. And now we'll move on to, unless there's any specific questions on fasting, we'll move on to the virus. And please do share this out. I want to thank everybody who's helped me on Patreon, PayPal, Venmo. It's hard to thank people on Venmo, I've noticed. I've only been able to thank just a very few people. Of course, not that many people donate on Venmo, but most of the people I haven't actually been able to thank. Where I've been able to thank everybody is Patreon. That Patreon makes it super easy to thank people. PayPal is hit and miss, whether I can thank you or not. Sometimes it's just, it's what it is. Sometimes I can't read the email addresses or something. And thanks, Kim. And thank you for donating to my Cash App. You're the first and only person who's donated to my Cash App, by the way. And I really appreciate it. You did it today. Yeah, Helena says, when you start reading cookbooks and obsessing about food, careful breaking it. Yeah, and also because I've been studying more on different things I want to can, or just ferment or pickle, because Thailand's got a lot of different stuff than Florida has or other places where I know how to do this better. And so I'm looking at all these videos on YouTube, and so I'm looking at food videos pretty often. In order to figure out how to do it better in Thailand. And so I'm actually looking at food quite a lot. But interestingly, when you're fasting, I do want to eat. For sure. Like today I was thinking about getting a nice steak and getting it on the grill and stuff like that. I love steak on the grill. And, but I didn't go out and get a steak and throw it on the grill though. So I do love my food. And I do love my fasting. Let me start at the top and try to answer any fasting questions, then we'll get to the virus. Hey, Steve. Uh, Feeding our greetings from Sweden. I hope everything's good in Sweden. I was just talking on the phone with somebody about Sweden. Hello, in Langley, Cecilia. Hope everything's good. Hello, Wyoming, Cowboy State. Wyoming's awesome. Hey, Wei Sean in Australia. In Joplin, Missouri, Deborah. Oh, great. Pamela says loud and clear. Dallas, Fort Worth, Crystal. Great. Barry, Dutch government, Netherlands is saying second wave a lot after opening it up a lot again. Okay, we'll talk about that in detail. Telecode Plains, Tennessee. I've been there quite a few times. And I'll be back. Kansas. Hey, Christopher Lama and Peggy. Let's see. Let's get down to the bottom here. I'm gonna shoot for any quick questions on fasting, and then we'll get to the like Joshua was asking, where's your data coming from? We do not have 1 million deaths. Let's see, what happened differently this time that you didn't hit turbulence after day 15? Well, that's interesting. That's a good question, because on other fasts, I hit turbulence on day 15. I was like, I don't feel so good. Maybe today was that turbulence. And I felt a little turbulence on day 23 or something. And it wasn't much. It wasn't severe enough that it even stuck in my mind. But remember, this morning I woke up and I felt like a little turbulence. And that was why I was just like, what do I want? I started smelling stuff like the ginger and things like I opened the garlic salt. That smells good. I love the smell of garlic salt. And I love the smell of peppers, of all sorts. And I wanted, I just wanted, so I made a tea out of it, and it solved everything. Turbulence was solved quickly. So, next time I have turbulence on fasting, I'm going to just lay down like I did today and go, what do you want? What does your body want? Just listen to it. Just like, what are you imagining that you want? And I was like, peppers, ginger, that sort of stuff. And that was why I made that tea, and it really worked. Crystal, please put an opening sentence on those links. Thank you very much. All right. Hello, New Jersey. Let's go. Yeah, Robert says, that's fine unless you're training for marathons. Some people that have run marathons actually have done it while fasting. That's pretty wild, huh? And thanks, Selena, on the green screen and the volume. I'm getting better. Yeah. Nicole is like, still fasting. Notice it seriously round your face. It might be because I'm zoomed in closer with the camera too. Hello, and from Minnesota. Okay. Let's see. Enough with the fasting, bro. You need to keep in shape. Also, keep your immune system strong. Well, who says it's making it weak? I don't know. Actually, I don't even know the answer to that. Obviously, I wonder. I don't know the truth though. Hello, in Nebraska, and okay. Let's get down to. I don't see any specific. There's a lot of questions here. Let's see, Cecilia, how do you reintroduce food after so long without getting sick? I may start with coconut. That's what soy did. I may start with a coconut, and but I wanted to start with an apple. Cut it really thin. I got a Japanese knife. You know how those double beveled Japanese knives are, and cut it really thin. Because when you start eating again, don't devour, go super slow, right? And for every reason. But also, after you've fasted, from then on, you'll just appreciate food a lot more. You'll taste more flavors. You'll just really appreciate it. Like sometimes you'll just be eating a soup or whatever, and you'll just like, you know what? I'm going to eat this really slowly. And you just eat that soup really slowly, like you just eat a spoonful and put it down. Or eat a slice of an apple and just enjoy it. Super slow. Put some salt on it. Just eat or eat like a pepper really slowly. And it's just so enjoyable. And so anyway, you said I have to accept it on Cash App. I guess I didn't accept it. Okay, I'll accept it later. I'm sorry about that. You can tell. You can tell you're the first one that's ever done it because I didn't. I didn't even know you have to accept it. Hey, Iris in Hong Kong. Hope you're good. Interesting things you want to eat are too hot and spicy. uh, I wish. I can't wait to get back to Hong Kong. Uh, I do exercise during fasting. Not as much, not as hard. I'm taking it easy. I actually went out to some of the Hong Kong fighting while I was in fasting, believe it or not. But then one night I went back to my hotel room and I got cramps in my legs. It felt like I was being electrocuted. I mean, I rolled out. I was like, oh my gosh, it was really painful. It was super painful. I had a mineral imbalance. Of course, I already had some bananas and stuff. So I had a pencil in my pocket. I already had some bananas and stuff like that and sea salt in my hotel room, so I was ready for any issue like that. But that was a lot harder. All right, let's see. Hello in Alaska, Cork Treasure Quest, Snake Island. Well, let's see. All righty, let's get down to. Dan Morris says, 1 million is a big statement, but I can see it happening. I do question at what point it's used for the reason to call it an act of war. Far-fetched. Well, let's get to it. Yep, I'm in day 27. All right. Let's talk about the virus, the pandemic. You know, I've read books about pandemics for many years because that's funny. People have been saying recently that there's not a lot written about the 1918 pandemic because people are trying to forget it. I'm like, are you crazy? There's so much written about the 1918 pandemic, it would fill like a library. It's a huge amount. And I've read about it since I was a kid. And I mean, I always felt like another one was coming because the virologist, the epidemiologist, the immunologist, they all warned us about it. The biological warfare experts, they all warn us about it. It's coming. There's pandemics all the time, right? They're just not, it depends on what you call often, but, they do happen. And there'll be another one too. And there'll be another one after that at some point. And there may be another one. And there's many going on right now. There always are. And so, now, where do I get the 1 million casualties number? Now, I've been saying that for a long time. If you read, I'm not writing it as much because I'm saying it, but like YouTube transcribes everything I'm saying, by the way. You can go over to my YouTube channel and you can hit, transcription or whatever it is. There's a button there somewhere and you can see it. It's a kind of a reasonable, it's not exact transcription, but it's close enough. It's pretty close. But it's close enough that it'll tell you the timestamp, and if it looks wrong, you can go listen to it, watch it, right? But I've been saying for quite a while that I think the United States alone will be lucky to get off with 1 million dead just from the virus, not from other stuff as well. And that tens of millions globally will probably die from it. A lot of that's coming from people that I think are less biased than others, like Gabriel Luong from Hong Kong, and just from history and watching how this plays out. I have read a lot about the 1918 pandemic, and one book in particular that I've recommended numerous times is The Great Influenza, and that was published in 2005. But if you read, I was talking with a virologist today, if you read The Great Influenza, you'll see it's almost like word for word what's happening now. That one seemed to be more deadly on a case fatality basis, but the one we're in now is more infectious. And so anyway, bottom line is all these things that you're seeing now, just read that book. It came out in 2005. And there's many more. Read whatever ones you want. But almost word for word, the things that were happening in 1918, 1919, 1920, went on 22, all that. They're like the same thing happening now. Like people saying it's just the flu when people are dying all around you. Oh, it's just the flu, Bring out your dead, gong. There's dead people piling up. People are like, it's just the flu, dead. It's just the flu, dead. It's like 1918. They were doing the same thing. And politicians doing politician stuff. President Wilson was like ignoring it and then tantamount denying it, and he ended up getting it. It looked like it did some damage to his brain as well. I mean, it was just like epic cover up. The Surgeon General and the Public Health Service, just like today, lying and covering up. Unbelievable. It's like word for word. And, it started in 1917, it's believed, really started kicking off in 1918 and 1919. But a lot of people think it ended then, but I think if my memory's right, that the last case was like 1957 or something like that, 50s anyway. But it didn't just die off suddenly. It kept right on rolling. It just regressed to the mean, if you know what I mean, if you're into this sort of thing. In other words, the first wave, people were like, whoa, this is really bad stuff. It's just the flu, others were saying, but it killed a lot of people. Here's the first wave. It goes up like that, and then it starts going down, and people are like, thank God that's over. And then it comes a second wave, rose right up, right off the charts. And then people are like, and they were like kidnapping nurses and, kidnapping nurses to make them look out for family members, and thousands of doctors and nurses dying, and calling in everybody, even that failed medical school, nurses that couldn't make it through nursing training. They were like bringing all on deck. People that had zero training whatsoever. It was unbelievable. And so it was, and who was getting hit really hard was like New York, Philadelphia, likely suspect actually, although some others did well if they locked down. There were cities that locked down like at gunpoint. They're like, nobody comes into our town. You know what I mean? And those cities often did quite well, actually, like no cases. But it took the elders of the city basically to say, lock down. Nobody drives through our town. You know what I mean? And in those towns, some were unaffected. And then in other parts of the world, it just like wiped out peoples. Like the Eskimos up in the cold parts were getting just wiped out. Entire villages gone. And others, most of the people dead, dogs eating the people, it was totally, seriously. So it reached every little corner of the earth, little islands out here, wiped out tribes of people. They're gone. You know what I mean? And hit India, slaughtered India, ravaged through China. It was unbelievable. Went along the railways and all that stuff, right? But remember, it came that first wave. And everybody's like, that's terrible. A lot were. And others like, it's just the flu. And the President Wilson was like in denial. And as were many others. And then the scientists were fighting that it came from a bacteria, it came from a virus, and all these sorts. It was just all kinds of stuff. Rush for pharmaceuticals that can help ameliorate the symptoms and a vaccine and all this stuff, which they, and so that first wave, and then the second wave just went right off the charts and just slaughtered millions. And then it started coming down, and people were like, thank God it's over, and then came the third wave. And the third wave was a lot smaller than the second wave, but it was a lot bigger than the first. And so the third wave was actually, if the third wave wasn't sitting there compared to the second wave, it would have been one of the largest pandemics in history, right? And so if I'm looking up somewhere, I can hardly see my camera where it's at because it's dark back there behind the lights. Anyway, so I see it now. And so so the third wave was actually quite terrible, and then it just kept rippling and rippling through 21, 22, 23, 24, and it kept going, but it regressed to the mean. In other words, it seemed the virus then became less and less lethal, but it still killed people. I think up to 1957 or so. And so why have I been saying the United States will be lucky to get off with 1 million dead? I'll say it, and then I'll just go to questions. Because that's what I study it 7 days a week. I can't back it up. I can't back it up at all. I couldn't back up that Iraq was going to do what it did, but I said it in advance and it did. And the same with Afghanistan or Chinese issues with Japan and Korea. Those came out the way I said that they would. Hong Kong insurgency, that was right. You know what I mean? So I've got quite a great track record on this stuff, and on stuff that because usually I don't say much about anything because I don't feel like I know enough to take a guess. But on this, I do, and that's why I bought 600 masks in January and other things, and started and warned people to start stocking up on food and that sort of thing. And I still strongly caution you, if you believe that it's okay to start dwindling down your food stocks, don't do it, Rambo. If I were you, I would continue to stock up unless you've got like 20-year supply or something. I would continue to stock up. I think prices are going to go up. We'll get into that. But why am I saying 1 million? Because I think that's directionally accurate. And all these models that are coming out, which one has been accurate? Which model have you seen since January has been accurate? Zero. Except maybe Dr. Gabriel Luong from Hong Kong. He's the only one that seems to so far be, like totally on. Listen to him. Listen to that guy. You know what I mean? Listen to Dr. Gabriel Luong for some reason, anyway. Then we come out with these estimates, 30,000. Oh no, 30,000, 60,000. Then we passed 60,000. What are we at now? 70. I don't even look every day anymore. I don't look anymore. I do look. I look about once a week now. And because what good does it do to look every day now? At first I was, because I was trying to establish, and now it's getting to be too much white noise. So let's, you got to divide your attention appropriately. And, and now I think President Trump revised about 48 hours ago or something like that to 90,000. And then the next morning, others within his administration, were like 134,000. So that was yesterday, right? Is there now their estimate now? Where are they getting this from? This is bullshit. Or they're trying to make people feel better. I don't get it. Unless the virus mutates and becomes less deadly, that's not what I'm sensing. I know my country, the United States. I've lived coast to coast, been all over the United States except for Alaska and some other state. I went to school in California twice, lived in Massachusetts twice, lived in Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, of course, where I'm from. And I've just seen the many cultures in the United States. And I know, look how many Americans are now refusing to wear masks, right? They're refusing to. We need to open up. I'm not saying close. Remember, back in January, I was saying close down all flights. Everything, not just from China, not just from Wuhan, not just from Hubei, but close down all flights coming into America. And then close down domestic flights and trains if we need to. And then we get to this, but now we've gotten to the point where if we had closed down all flights to begin with, we could have bought a lot of time. We could have bought a lot of time to do public service announcements out the yin yang, study this thing more, realize we don't have enough masks and start making them, realize that the ventilator thing might be a problem, and now it seems like it's another problem. Maybe they're worse than, I don't know. Anyway, it would have given us time to test medicines, to start working on a vaccine. It would have been a baffle, a baffle that slows things down. When you're building a defensive position against being overrun by the enemy, you build obstacles. Those are baffles, right? To slow them down so you can shoot them far away from your camp, right? And so, that's what we needed with this virus. Baffles. Stop all the flights. Stop everybody coming in. It's too late. It doesn't matter anymore. And then at one point in late February is when I said it's too late. It's like, it's too late. And then we start with this massive everybody stay home stuff, which is, what good has that done? Nothing. I mean, it's reduced the deaths, it's flattened the curve, but so what? Now people are going to go back to work. It's ravaged our economy. Now people are going to go back to work, and enough Americans clearly don't get it that wearing masks is important. And you can see they're crowding on each other in protest, and I totally am behind them on a lot of those protests, by the way. But they should be wearing masks, and they should do some, social distancing even during the protest, because this thing is quite real. This is very deadly. They keep downplaying it. Go back to read about the 1918 influenza. when people are constantly downplaying it. Oh, they're just overplaying it. It's like that people were stealing coffins in 1918 and 1919. They had to guard them with gunpoint. People were stealing, they were burying people in mass graves and stuff. It's just the flu. Some people were still saying that, right? And so there were people that never took any precautions, and a lot of them died. And so it was killing younger people too. It was killing people mostly that were born after 1889. But the bottom line is, this is what I think is going to happen, and I'll get to questions. What I think is going to happen, this is my guess, and I'm going on record. This can damage my reputation if I'm vastly wrong on this, so I'm very cautious on saying things like this. My guess is that we're going to open up, which we need to do, but we're going to open up anyway. Americans are just, you can't, there's only so much they can be restrained, and then we become like wild animals, and you can see it happening. You know, a lot of cultures are getting out there and doing things they shouldn't be doing without mask, at least. So I think I'm basing this a lot on my knowledge of Americans and my long study of history, including on pandemics. Especially on pandemics in this regard. What will happen is, this is what I think, Americans will go out, they'll go to work, and a lot of them are going to be idiots, and they're going to be not wearing masks, going to be breathing all over each other, and the R0's going to skyrocket. Then by about June, a lot more people are going to be dying, and then, it's going to progress. This is my guess, and then it's going to go skyrocket, right? We're going to see a lot more fatalities, and this is why I put that D-Day video up a week ago or so, right? That, we're going to open up and you're storming the beaches. We're going to take some casualties, right? A lot. And there's going to be people, we're all going to know people who are going to die. That's my thought. Like almost all of us will know somebody who's going to die from this, is my guess as we progress, right? And then, as with other pandemics, just by reading history and listening to the epidemiologists talk, then people will become afraid. Then they're going to go, whoa, this is really real. People are really dying. Why didn't the government warn us? They did. Well, they did all kinds of things wrong, but the warnings are there. And they're going to go, and then a huge number of people are going to get afraid, and then they're going to self-quarantine. So I think, this is my guess, we're going to storm the beaches. A lot of people are going to get shot in the lungs. They're going to bleed out and die. And then some people are going to keep right on going and keep storming, and some of them are going to die. And then some of them are going to make it, and most of them are going to make it, and we're going to finally overrun. But a lot of others are, we're finally going to overrun the virus, but by herd immunity after taking huge casualties. But a lot of people are going to then self-quarantine. So in other words, a lot of people are going to go back to the boats, and they're going to try to sail back to England. You know what I'm saying? This is what I think is going to happen. Basically, this is D-Day. America is opening up, or D-month, and casualties are going to go up. Some people are going to keep going forward. That'll be me. Well, I'm not in America yet. And others are going to get scared. Others are going to die, and others are going to get scared, and they're going to self-quarantine. That's my guess. And then, then the second wave will actually start. And I'm not even talking about the second wave yet. I'm talking about opening up while we're still in the first wave. And then we take, this is my guess, we're going to take a huge amount of casualties before the year is out. And eventually, before it's all said and done, we'll probably take well over 1 million fatalities just from the virus, and not including net deaths from all kinds of other things like not getting needed cancer treatment. That's my guess. That's my guess. My guess is eventually we're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to take a lot of casualties. Then we have to rebuild the economy. And that's where I want to be traveling around the country. And look, I've seen economies that crashed or were under siege, right? For instance, Iraq. We crashed it. And then I started seeing it rebuild itself, and with our help, but it was rebuilding. I've seen Afghanistan's economy improve a lot from Stone Age to a more advanced Stone Age. I've seen Poland recovering from World War II and 50 plus years of communism. That's hard to recover from. World War II, which wiped out Poland basically, and then what was left wiped out by communists, and then Czechoslovakia, which split, of course, and then Hungary and Romania. Listen, the things I saw in Poland, which was really a lot worse than our economy is going to get. The Poles, as soon as the boot was taken off their throat, they started, and Czechs too, and Slovakians, and Hungarians, and Hungarians had a head start anyway, and Romanians. You should have seen Romania back then. It was horrible. It was terrible, man. I hated that place. I like Romanians, but it was horrific. And so, but then they quickly, when things opened up, they're like, let's make some money. And they started building their countries. And now they're nice countries, right? It's not going to take the United States 20 years to recover like a lot of people are saying. That's bullshit. We still got all of our bridges. We got huge amounts of infrastructure, which needs some replacement or some maintenance, but we've got huge amounts of infrastructure that works. We got great, well, our airports could use some improvement too, but we still have very functional airports. We need to work, as we rebuild stuff, we need to build a decent internet system, by the way. We're falling behind the rest of the world, and that affects our economy. Now, while everybody's locked down, when I keep talking to American friends and associates, they're like, we can't do this because my internet's breaking up. I'm like, why isn't my internet breaking up? I'm in Thailand, and everybody's at home here too, right? Because our internet in the United States sucks. You go to South Korea, and they got some internet. That affects our economy. We need to, as we rebuild stuff, we need to do some upgrade America. And our internet is vital to our upgrade. In our airports, we need to do something serious about all this crap. We got terrible airports, and we need to listen. We got to do it. And but it's not going to take 20 years to rebuild our economy. That's a load of bullshit. We're going to, obviously a lot of things are going to change. Restaurants going to be a different sort of business, and many other things. But we can do it quite quickly. And a lot of what's happening too is we're burning off dead wood. When it comes to businesses that were really probably shouldn't have been there because they're always on the brink, and and owners, and I've been in small business owners that borrowing to keep the business alive when they really should go to a different sort of business or something, that sort of thing. A lot of that wood's been now burned, right? But now chance to regrow more green and do better the next time, right? So that's when I come back to the United States. I want to focus on that, people that are succeeding, and so that we can get positive messages out with real information that people can use to make their own life better. And anyway, why 1 million? I've stated my case. I just think that the numbers that we're getting, they keep coming out with these new estimates that are ever higher and higher. It's like a firework when you go to the 4th of July and firework goes poof, and everybody goes, ooh, and then it goes poof, ooh, poof, ooh. It's like that, but it's scary for some people. I'm not scared. I'm ready. But then finally, and then the big whatever really happens. I'm just going straight up to grand finale. I think it's going to be more than 1 million. Just getting right there, because that's the way I'm planning my life. I'm planning my life in my immediate next 5 years future as if the U.S. economy goes into a massive depression, worse than any of our grandparents saw, and more than 1 million die. And that there are epic famines of biblical size around the world, and there's going to be some wars. That's how I'm planning my next 5 years, because that's what I think, feel, sense in my heart and in my mind is going to happen. So if I'm wrong, I'm just letting you know that's how I'm planning. Everybody else can plan the way they want. So let's go to questions. Let me shoot up a ways. And Steve says your mother had a craving for coal. Wow, when she was pregnant. That's pica. I don't know if it's pica. Let me be careful with that. I'm not a doctor, but it sounds like pica, the things I've read about. And Nicola says pica is an iron deficiency. I thought it was also other things, but I don't know. I'm not expert on that. Icing sugar for me, Nicole. I love icing, man. I haven't had icing in years, though. Don't just stop talking about icing. Actually, Cecilia said, my kid used to lick rocks because of that pica. Oh, interesting. I haven't heard of children doing that. Oh, but children will. Well, children will put anything in their mouth anyway because they'll like paint and stuff. That's obviously a problem. Pamela Green says, hi, Michael. You're doing great with the fasting. Looking good. Thank you. More important, are you feeling good? Oh, yeah. And actually, my sleeping is better. Often on the fasting, I've mentioned before, your sleep can be negatively affected. But now in the certainly last week or 10 days, my sleep is really good, really good. And I've got this app, because I'll wear a watch and it goes to the phone and you can actually, my sleep, I'm getting a lot more deep sleep and I feel it. Like I feel refreshed when I wake up. I don't feel like, I needed another 2 hours of sleep. I'm not feeling that right now, actually. Cecilia says, my cravings were garlic and potatoes. Actually, I've thought about potatoes quite a lot, actually. When normally I don't think about potatoes. But I have thought about them quite a few times. Oh, man, I love raw oysters, Mickey Mason. Hey, in Seattle, Tony. Yeah, let me shoot down and I'm going to shoot straight all the way to the bottom. Tommy is saying, many restaurants are putting in takeout windows and still doing a successful business here in Cypress, Texas. I was talking with one of my friends in Florida yesterday while he was going through a drive-through getting 10 tacos. I was like, tacos, man, I love some tacos. And it's funny because I was just looking how to do better ways of fermenting beans. Deborah says, internet is broken, but they won't fix it until the virus is passed. I have to rely on my internet on my phone. They won't enter houses we need to fix it at a larger scale, not just everybody's home, but like the strategic scale in the United States. So the United States has ultra fast internet. One thing I've noticed in many, many countries, a lot of times you have an advantage by coming second or third or fourth. Or, for instance, when the United States was putting in internet way back in the beginning, we've got these old systems. There's still people with dial-up in America, if you can believe that. It's almost like, got one of those telephones, hitting the thing a few times. But then you go to countries, let's say Afghanistan, and we put in all new towers for them and all that. They'll have super fast systems. Because they didn't even have any system before. So they never have any wired telephones, actually. They don't have any legacy stuff, so they go straight to really serious communications, the most modern that there is. Let's see. I'm looking for questions. Iwana Madrid, you must be in Poland. You said we have to wear masks when we go out. Yeah, you're in Poland, out here in Poland. And I must admit, people stick to the rules: isolation, social distance, hygiene, and disinfection. I would think that Poles would, just having been there for 2 years, because, Poles can have a collective common sense. But in the United States, we have so many different cultures. Like some cultures have very good cultural discipline, and other cultures that we have are just not. Some people think all Americans are the same, but that just tells you they don't know anything about America. Dwayne Phillips says CDC is now providing provisional numbers, not just inflated state numbers. I don't believe the CDC. They've already lied too much. That's terrible. And see, that happened in 1918 too. There was catastrophic loss of credibility with the public health service, with the president, with the media. A lot of people today, they're like, back when the media was honest, back in the good old days. It's like, what good old days are you talking about? They never existed, period. They never existed. The media, an honest like great super informed media, it just never existed. To get super informed information, you have to target which journalists you listen to. You have to target publications like this one is, has more educated journalists that tend to stick to the truth as much as they can find it. A lot of times the hard part's not telling the truth, but finding it. A lot of times the hard part, where's my camera? There it is. There's so many lights in my eyes. And so, and for other people, just telling the truth, because there's so much money involved in politics. Like in the 1918 influenza, heavy politics surrounding, who reported. I mean, there was quite a long time where you were not even allowed to report the influenza at all. You couldn't even report it. You'd go to jail, straight up jail. Look it up, American history. And not just American history, also British and French. And German. And that's why we call it the Spanish flu, because Spain was neutral and they started reporting it. The Spanish flu, the parallels are so remarkable. Chris Lopez says, here's Dr. Brick saying that the government is recording anyone who dies with coronavirus in the United States, regardless of any other health issues, as a death from coronavirus. Mises Institute article. Well, and also that was a problem in 1918 too, was false reporting. And for various reasons, there was a lot of false reporting, misreporting, non-reporting. There are a lot of people that died at home, just like, now in different countries. There were people not listed. There was all kinds of things like that. The parallels are, just change the names and you've got it all. It's funny too. Some people think that, I mentioned this before on a previous podcast. A lot of people seem to think that the United States and some others were not advanced in 1918. That's bull. They were very advanced. They just didn't know what we know now because we've had another 100 years to develop a body of knowledge. But insofar as scientific method and super high intelligence and critical thinking skills, they had it all. And they also had human elements that, infighting between scientists and politics and money and power, and they had all those issues. And so there was, everything then. And that's where studying history is so valuable, is finding the echoes of human behavior, actually. Laura Stoyanoff says, our Indiana governor said he's using the opening of churches as a control test. I won't be there. People are crazy if they go to church. They also closed churches in 1918. And that was a problem too, because some people didn't want to close. And it was the same thing like now. It's all the same. Nothing's changed except we have better telephones now. And we have better microscopes and that sort of thing. But I mean, it's the same. Like read the book, The Great Influenza. You're going to be stunned at the parallels. Adrian Astic says, people in the West are very reluctant to wear masks. No wonder the highest confirmed infections are in the West. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I think there are going to be a huge amount of people that die from that ignorance. But let's see. Barbara Zikas is saying, or Zikas, we are limited on meats now. All prices went up. Restaurants will be shutting down, especially HMB joints. What's a HMB joint? Like Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's are the real. Oh, you mean hamburger joints are real them too? Oh, yeah. You know what's probably going to happen is a lot of them are probably going to start doing the kiosk thing. Barbara says, what's happening in other countries? World Health Organizations are putting ads on Facebook now. They are wishy-washy everywhere. Oh, yeah. James says, Devens in Massachusetts. Oh, I was stationed in Fort Devens in Massachusetts. And, that was one of the major places where plague got 1918 influenza was terrible at Devens. You should read about what happened at Devens, James. It smashed it. Yeah. John Lee, great to hear that back here in London, our old people are dying fast with it in care houses, even members of staff getting it. I don't know if that's great. It's been expected since January, at least by me. That's why I was saying in late January or at least by early February to get all your elders out of nursing homes. And now a lot of people are acting like it's a big surprise. Where's the big surprise? We already knew in January and February, early February, that elderly were being really hurt by this. And so it doesn't take a great leap of imagination that the nursing homes are going to be dive bombed by this virus. And now they are. It's like more than 80 older veterans were killed in a Massachusetts nursing home from this last month. It's just terrible. I mean, it's unbelievable. And why, anyway, it's happening. Tim Bodie says, we just had a nursing home fully infected with COVID in Kentucky and then all recovered. So just maybe it's weakening. I don't know. And there's too many wild cards, and I'm not a virologist or an immunologist or an epidemiologist or any of those ologists. But I mean, there's different strains of it out there. I mean, the virologists will tell you that there's different strains of this. And, whether it's a 1918 or many others, they're constantly mutating. And so it could be anything. Could be false reporting. It could be accurate reporting, but they took some medicine or they got more sunshine, or like in the 1918 influenza, doctors found that sunshine seemed to help. Was it vitamin D? Fresh air? What was it? But they seem to be very set on that. Another thing they seem to be set on was the faster you got into bed. I'm talking 1918. The faster you could get down and get into bed and lay down and relax and start to let your body fight it and get care for yourself, the higher rate of recovery. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, and I there's no way I can study that. But that comes from the old doctors that went through the 1918 influenza, that as soon as you feel the symptoms, you need to get into bed and start relaxing, and people take care of you while you get through this. That's why some nurses, they were getting kidnapped during the 1918 flu. They were kidnapped. People were kidnapping them. They were holding them hostage, holding nurses hostage to take care of loved ones. How you like that for nursing? Hey, you're under arrest while you're kidnapped. Barbara Zykas, here is something I watched yesterday. They're checking water waste plants for COVID like they have for drug use. Yeah, they're checking for the virus. I've read that. Excuse me. Let's see. Dwayne says, where is he getting the 1 million American death prediction modeling? I already mentioned where I'm getting it from my own mind, because so far my models that I make up in my mind from study are like 10 times more accurate than is coming out of CDC, World Health Organization, the Surgeon General, or the president, because I've been dead on accurate about this thing, except that I thought Thailand was going to get hit hard, which it hasn't, which is really strange considering a major airport that accepts people from Wuhan is just miles down the road from me, Chiang Mai Airport. But remember in January, I bought 600 masks and started telling people to stock up on food. And I gave those masks away to friends in Hong Kong and Thailand. And then every step of the way, I've been saying that this is going to ravage our economy. And that's why I was saying in January, stock up on food. And now look, you see meat plants closing down, and then the president has to intervene and all this stuff. And all these things that were unimaginable before, not only are imaginable, they're happening, right? And then there's a lot of other stuff that seems unimaginable now. And these models are just bullshit. All these have you seen any that are accurate? Except maybe from Dr. Gabriel Luong in Hong Kong. Maybe him. He looks accurate. But basically, all these models that the government keeps throwing out in front of us are all bullshit. They're obvious, transparently bullshit, and just I don't even pay attention to them anymore. I'm like, oh, look, another cute model. You know what I mean? It's like, it's irrelevant. I'm just watching. I'm just trying to figure it out myself. So I'm putting the 1 million number out minimum that we'll be lucky if we have a million virus deaths in the United States as a directional number. In other words, I don't believe it's going to stop at 30,000. Oh, wait a minute. It didn't. I don't believe it's going to stop at 60,000. It didn't. And now President Trump saying 90,000, which is shocking people. Not me, because I've been saying for a long time, I think it's going to be at least 1 million. And I strongly believe that. I would bet money on that, that it'll be at least 1 million and maybe much more, but nobody knows. We don't know a lot of, there's so much that's unknown. Like, what is the actual, how many have actually been infected? We don't even know that. We don't even know how many, there's not enough tests being done. We don't know how many, we don't know if you can be reinfected, like with dengue, which is really heavy right here in Thailand. We don't know. We don't know a lot of things. But what we do know is it's a very deadly virus, and it's very infectious when people aren't self-quarantining and wearing masks and that sort of thing. Well, we're about to find out. We're going to find out. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm not planning my life. I'm not planning my life as if it's going to be, some number like stops at 100,000 and then it's finished. No, I think that's complete. That's like ignoring a train that's coming straight at you, obviously at full steam. Maybe that train can hit the brakes and stop real quick. I doubt it. And people are not jumping off the tracks. They're jumping on the tracks. Let me go to the bottom. All right. Jan Benning, get N95s from Amazon. I don't even need any mask. I don't need any mask for 5 years. You know why? Because I've got all the masks I need and I already had them. You can, especially if you get good masks, you don't need to be swapping them out all the time. Those little white ones, they're not comfortable. Where is mine? I got them sitting on the table over here. I don't even use it. I just keep it in case I need it to walk out on the street or something. I just quickly put it on my face. I don't even, it's just so people around me that are long away from me anyway. But if I'm actually walking out, I put either my military mask on or my 3M mask on. And that's, my military mask should last for the rest of my life, and it'll actually filter out all that stuff. I don't need those little N95 masks, but they're good on size wise. They're easy to carry with you. Jim says he was born at Fort Devens before it closed. It was AIT military intel, and I was stationed there. It was 10th Special Forces Group and military intel. All right. Kathy Wagner Anderson, if bandanas or standard mask won't protect me from CCP virus, does this mean I cannot go anywhere for the next couple of years and feel somewhat safe? Miss the grandkids. I would get, the best mask that you can get, surely. And, but, as time goes on, there's going to be a greater availability of masks because we now realize the need, and our government cleverly did not stock up on masks. And so, but soon there'll be the mask. If I were you, I would, if you don't have to go out now, if you don't need to go make money for your life, if you can stay home now, do stay home now. And because, for instance, there's something called regression to the mean. I don't want to act like a virologist. I'll just say what I read virologists say. Viruses like 1918, we didn't stop the 1918 virus. It just regressed to the mean. In other words, it became super deadly. And then over time, it works its way back to to something less lethal. In other words, if you can avoid it for the first get-go, as more and more people get it and hopefully cannot get reinfected. We don't know that yet, but hopefully not. Hope not a plan, but it's what we got. And then, simultaneously, this thing could be regressing, maybe. And also pharmaceuticals may be discovered or developed that can be helpful, and maybe they'll come up with a vaccine. I would not make your life plans around a vaccine. I wouldn't make any plans around a vaccine within the next couple of years, despite all the happy talk that so many people are saying. I wouldn't make those plans. I think it's a bad idea to make life plans that there'll be a vaccine in the next couple of years. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm not taking the first dose. I'm not taking the first batch of vaccines that come out. No way, sirree, Bob. No way I'm doing it. And I'm a risk taker. I'm a serious risk taker. I go off to wars. I go chasing cannibals in India. I'm not taking the first batches of that vaccine. I'll just sit back and see how the others do. Let's see. Kevin says, damn, Mike, I didn't know you were in 5th group. I wasn't. I was in 10th group. Just so you guys know, it's the most decorated SF group. I was in 10th. Yeah, 5th was highly decorated in Vietnam. Let's see. And they've been working so many other places since. Did you see the couple of Green Berets just got arrested down in Venezuela up to something? Keep an eye on that. That's an interesting chain of events there. Colin Smith, CARES Act set aside $27 billion for vaccine research, as if that's going to do any good. Speed it up. Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking for any questions I can answer. Daniel Noab, sheer idiot. And he starts with a sheer without a capital letter. That's what actual idiots do. Idiots come out and they start calling people idiots, and then they'll misspell like idiot. They'll invert the I and the O and things like that. There he comes with all capital letters. Man, you guys are crazy. Y'all idiots. It's very interesting. I call it boping. I need a new word for it, but I've called it that for some years. It's when people will come out, like the guy that invented the anarchist cookbook. He's like, so you can look in the preamble or the preface to that, where the author of the preamble or the anarchist cookbook, he's an idiot like this guy, the whatever his name is here, Dana. So the idiot that wrote the anarchist cookbook, he goes off in his preface like, the average person who reads this book will not be able to follow instructions, and therefore, it's very dangerous because they're such idiots and all this other stuff. And he goes, they're likely to get, hurt. You can read it and see what it says. And he goes, I should know, because while I was making homemade explosives, one exploded in my hand and turned it into a hamburger and temporarily blinded me for months. That's what idiots like Dana do. They'll come out and call everybody idiots, and then they'll misspell idiot. No, look at that. You'll see it all the time. It happens all the time. Just it's pretty interesting. I think maybe it's a projection thing. I don't know. Debo, what we know too is supply chain is also critical to living. Hiding in our homes is not a solution either. Yep. We got to get the economy started, and there we go. Georgine Madigan Stoner. I've been listening to Mike since last year. Some don't listen. The ones that do are very grateful. I passed on Mike's recommendations. I'm prepared. My garden has started too. Good for you. I was working on my garden today as well, by the way. And that's good too. You get out in the sunshine, get some vitamin D. And I don't know. I heard a cat. I don't know what it is about sunshine that also just makes me feel better. And other people say the same thing. I like getting out in the sunshine. Yeah, Georgina, everybody needs to be careful as we reopen. Okay. Yeah, I will block you, Dana, whatever your name is, as soon as I get onto my other machine because nobody needs people like you around. Let's see. Let's see. David Bagley. Democrats. Yeah, it's become very political. Also, the 1918 pandemic, was highly politicized, like super. You should read about how the 1918 pandemic seems to also have affected negotiations for World War II. For instance, Woodrow Wilson, the president, he got it, and then it seems to have affected his mind right during negotiations, and adversely affected his mind, and then, well, as people who've studied history on World War II realized that negotiations after World War I with Germans, or demands on their economy, was a proximate cause of the beginnings of Adolf Hitler's power, right? And so he lifted, Germans who felt like they were being mishandled and their economy was terrible. So Adolf Hitler came along and he tapped into that well of discontent, and he was a cult-like figure, and he still is actually. And he, raised the Germans up, and we ended up in World War II. And so some people attribute that to the very poor treaty from World War II. A huge amount of historians attribute it to that. And one of the problems there was Woodrow Wilson was just a poor negotiator at the end because of his brain seemed to be affected by that virus. Okay. And I just blocked that Dana noob guy because we don't need people like that. What I want you to do, Dana, if you're still watching, is go out there and suck in some of this virus and just suck it on in and have a good time with it. And when you're gone, let me tell you how much I'll care. Zero. I really don't. I warned you. See, this is big boy rules. This is soldier rules. Soldier, right? I will tell you where the mines are. You will choose whether or not to walk into the mines. If you walk into the mines and you die, I will say goodbye and I will go to lunch. It's that simple. Soldier rules. You got it? That's how this rolls. If you do stupid shit and you get shot in the face, I don't care. Soldier rules. Got it? All right. Susan Wisemore. My husband was in respiratory distress. Good grief. Let me try to hit your comment so it'll come up. Oh, there we go. My husband was in respiratory distress. He was sent to the COVID floor and hospital would not let him go there. I am his caretaker as he has early onset Alzheimer's and is in severe stage and can't communicate without me. I said, if he has it, I have it. Test me as well. Definitely. They said no. They said no and sent me as well. They sent me out into the world. It's unbelievable. I said, are you kidding me? No wonder it is spreading so quickly in the Houston area. That's incredible, Susan. That's really terrible. Unbelievable. And he had pneumonia, you say. Jeff Hall, I wonder if Woodrow Wilson, you mean, stroke was caused by his flu bout. I don't know. I just read today that Wuhan is causing strokes in young, old people who've had the virus. I don't know. I mean, that's a question that I've read about as well. Others have asked that same question. It's a good question. Lisa Baker, Mike, in my little corner of Northwest Georgia, you just can't believe how angry people get because of us that choose to be safe and try to stay in. I'm not ignorant to the fact that the economy has to be kickstarted, but I believe I'm going to try not to get infected. Yeah, because you see that human behavior a lot. Because somehow people seem to think that if we all do it together, we got some herd safety going on. It's like, no, you'll just all die in a herd. It's like, that's why when you're in the military and you're walking through suspected minefields or ambush areas, everybody spreads out. Social distancing works in minefields. It works with snipers too. You know what I mean? Social distancing is just a really important concept in a lot of places. But a lot of people don't like that at all. I've seen that in the United States in quite a few cultures. If everybody doesn't go to church together, then somehow the world's going to fall apart. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, no, if they don't want to go out and take chances with you, then just, that's the way it's going to be. I would just be quiet and stay home. Tommy Barria says, I'm so mean. Oh, you mean the way I handled that little turd boy? Yeah, that's what he is. So let's just talk like men. You know what I mean? People that come up and talk like that, you warn them and you warn them and you warn them. And Pam Sellards, like the two guys caught in Venezuela with American passports, supposedly former special forces went there to kidnap Maduro. I don't know. It's first reports. You know how those are. So I'm not going to say much. Diane Sims Taylor, Colin Smith, I'm a blessed person, live in the woods, but lousy internet is hard to handle. And I thought the big O was going to get that fixed. Yeah, internet's terrible in the United States. Deanna Gruschow saying, idiots running rampant here in Michigan. Oh, Lord. Pam says, my cousin had a stroke because of this virus. Is causing blood clots. Zane Khan says, a direct confrontation is needed with China. We're having a direct economic confrontation right now, and a direct political conflict as well. Gary Dunn says, it's running riot here in UK and people are still ignoring COVID-19. Jim Buckley in the news. This just in, Florida-based Jordan Gaudreau, an ex-Green Beret, said Luke Denman and Aaron Berry were part of Operation Gideon, aimed at liberating Venezuela by arresting President Maduro. Let's chill on that until we get some more reports, because you know how first reports are. It's an interesting beginning of a storyline. Let's see how it plays out. And I hope that there aren't ex-Green Berets there that just got captured, but I'm starting to think that it's probably at least partly true. Deanna says, you trusting antibody tests yet? Not I. Not I. I won't trust them. I won't trust them for a while. I'm not believing much coming out of our government at this point. Greg Holmes says, I was just reading about your different ambush types in Danger Close. Danger Close was my first book, by the way. I'll show it to you for people that want to read it. It's a great book. I haven't. This is it. That's the first cover, which if you can find one like that, I guess you can find it right there used. But that was the first edition. That's funny because most people like that first cover better. And that first cover, I just pulled that out of my photo. That's me right there. If you can see you can't see my mouse. But in that line of soldiers right there, I'm the one closest to you in the photo. That was in 10th Special Forces Group. We were training to parachute into Poland to kill Russians and do all kinds of bad stuff, and then link up with Polish to make a war on Soviets. And so that one, if you can get a copy of that one, they're out there, but it's in about the, 5th edition now or something. And so that cover is not sold anymore. But I was just trying to get that photo is in Florida, so I'm going to get that photo scanned in, and then I'm going to make another print run of this book and to make it available in print again. So that's a more recent cover. You can get it on Kindle. That's my book, Danger Close again. And you can get it on Amazon on Kindle. And then that is also another cover. Because like I said, is it in fifth printing? I don't even know. I think fifth. And but it's actually, you see, it got the William A. Gurley Award there on the bottom left. Very prestigious award. You'll read the book and learn about that. And if you read the book, which I suggest you do. And let me get back to me on the screen. There we go. All right. I'm looking for any more questions to answer, and then otherwise I'll just go ahead and shut off. But I do think that that you're going to see a huge amount more deaths in the United States, and I'll reiterate what I think is going to happen from here towards, let's say, the end of the year, roughly. We're going to open up, which is already happening, and a lot of people are not going to take precautions, and there's going to be a sharp increase in infections and fatalities. That's what I think is going to happen, and then a lot of people will continue to stay open, and others will retreat back home when they realize how many people are getting killed. That's what I think will happen. That's my best guess, and we'll see. Let's see. All right. And all right. I'm looking for any last. Kim, you say you'd pay more for a signed copy. If I had any copies here, I would do it. But I don't. I mean, I do. I got a copy here, but I don't have copies. I don't have enough copies to send out. I need to get another print run, actually. And then when I go around the United States, that can be a way I can help fund my trips. What I'm strongly thinking about doing right now is, and I've been consulting since I said it last time, is doing GoFundMe and maybe an Indiegogo and a Kickstarter. The reason I'll do all three platforms is because a lot of people they don't like Patreon. They don't want to pay on Patreon. They don't want to pay on PayPal. They don't like PayPal. They don't like Cash App, or only Kim is the only one that's donated on Cash App, or Venmo. I have Venmo, but a lot of people don't want to use that. And Kickstarter, a lot of people don't like Kickstarter. So how about GoFundMe? You know what I mean? So it takes a lot of effort to go on multiple platforms. But this is my general concept of operation: to go and get rent, or not rent, but buy either a motorhome and tow a car behind it, or like a truck and tow like an Airstream behind it, that sort of thing, or a bus, then tow it. It doesn't matter. But bottom line is, go from state to state around the United States and all 50 states, and really go through, that means basically everybody that's on my Facebook and YouTube that's in the United States. There's a very high chance we could physically meet, super high chance, because I'll hit every single state, and not just dive in, but actually come and stay for a while. If I even stayed for 2 days in each state, that would take 100 days, but I'll do it a lot more than that. It'll be more like a year. It'd be like at least a year, because it's going to take a lot long, 2 years maybe, because it's going to take a long time just to get the economy going. But we will get it going fast. But every bit of help that we can get is important, and sharing knowledge is vital. So I'll do some sort of fundraiser. If you guys got any great ideas on how to do it, I'll be listening. And Sharon's asking what's happening in Thailand. Thailand's doing pretty good. I don't know all the reasons, because there's so many complex reasons about what's going on. Is it genetics, diet? Is it the weather? Is it people wearing masks more? Is it contact tracing, which is pretty serious here? It's all kinds of things. I think it's many variables at once, but I don't know. I mean, you would have to be, you need a team of, 1,000 scientists to figure out what's going on with this thing, around thousands, because there's so many different countries and different cultures and different conditions and weathers and strains, and it's just so many variables. It's just madness to try to sort through all that. All I can say is what I see is Thailand's doing okay, except the economy also is very damaged. And so Thailand's also slowly starting to open up. But I think Thais will tend to be more cautious than Americans. But it doesn't mean that it's going to, do great or badly. I just don't know. I know Thais seem to have been smarter about this than Americans. I will say that. That's pretty clear, just as South Koreans have been. Thank you, Michelle. Says, I enjoyed Danger Close very much. Highly recommend it. I think I will rewrite parts, not rewrite it, add to it. Like I know more about many things now than I did when I wrote that, when I wrote Danger Close. Danger Close was my first book with no writing training, by the way. I'm looking down because I'm looking at comments to read. Colin Smith says, how about a low-end trailer? Check out Travel with Jayco 213 and similar. I was looking at some of that stuff, but I don't want to do that. I want to get a really great one, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm thinking about living there for, 1 or 2 years, and I don't want to be confined like I feel like I'm in a cave, because I have to have an office, and it takes space to do stuff like this. It takes space to, I study all the time. And if it's bad weather where I'm at, I'll be stuck inside somewhere, right? And I like to do my own cooking, so I need a proper kitchen, and you know what I mean? I don't want to be, it's already going to be roughing it compared to home. But then again, as a kind of a former soldier, I can live rough, no problem, for extended periods. But it's better to be as comfortable as possible and have everything set up. You want your office set up. You don't want to have to reset it up every time you go to work. Because if you waste 10 minutes a day, that's a lot of time. If you waste 30 minutes a day, do the math. I'm not going to do that. You need to set up. You need to have everything. You need to have everything, in place, like a proper kitchen and all that. Because I'll do my own cooking. And I cook better than most restaurants anyway, except for Waffle House. Actually, I can do better than Waffle House, but I just like Waffle House. You and Kip Moon, GoFundMe should work. Not sure if your case fits Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Might need deliverables. Yeah, that could be problematic. Let's see. Tommy says, look the cost of operation of each of those travel platforms and look at what you think you can afford to operate. Well, duh. Tommy. Trip sounds better to bring a lot of books to sign. Yeah, I think you're right. To bring a lot of books to sign. Yeah, Thailand's doing better. Pam Sellers says, have I ever heard of Chinese cannibals during your research? Oh, definitely. Absolutely. During their famines, people were well known to be doing cannibalism. Any famine that comes along is going to have, if it's a severe famine, is going to have some level of cannibalism. I say that, of course, I can't have visibility on all the famines out there, but cannibalism is actually probably more common than you might think. John says, I live in Thailand and things are shaping up. The government gradually opening up the country slowly. Yeah, Thailand's been behaving very responsibly and smart. Andy, move back to USA and cover Comey getting hung for treason. Man, oh man, it actually looks like he actually committed treason. I don't know if it reaches the legal standard, but certainly it just has that appearance. Anyway, Sonia Alexander says, get some copies and sign them and I'll buy one. You could sell them for more. Also, I got Amazon Prime. If I get that book, I can borrow it do you get a kickback for that? I get, actually these books that are used on Amazon, I don't get any. I get nothing for those. I don't get anything for those because they're used books. People are selling the used books back. But on the ebooks, yeah, the ebooks, because you can't, resell an ebook, or maybe you can somehow. I don't know. But you're right. If I travel around, what I should do is get a bunch of books printed, and then sell them as I go. That would be a good way to help fund it. Tommy Barrios is saying PCR testing they're using for many tests is not regarded as very accurate by any epidemiologist. Susan Wisemore, I'm coming on late, but have you decided where you're going? USA? It's strongly looking like USA. It's looking less and less like Taiwan by the day. I'm waiting for some information, which I still haven't received. Let me check here right now and see if it's come in. Just opening up WhatsApp to look. All right. And yeah, at the end of the day, humans are omnivores. All righty. Right. Let me go ahead and go offline now. And it's been good talking for an hour and 26 minutes. And I'm looking forward to getting back to the United States. Susanna's in Tampa. Tampa's great. And I'll definitely be coming back to Florida, Kevin. I'm a Florida boy, and I mean, I'll hit all 50 states. And Florida-wise, I'll literally start at Key West, literally, and go up to the Keys and Miami, and then probably shoot across, the Tamiami, go across, through the Everglades, through over to the other coast, and I'm not sure, maybe go up both coasts. I mean, I'll see a lot of Florida. I won't just bolt through it. There's a lot of Florida I want to see, and I've seen a lot of Florida already. Of course, being from Florida, and I'll definitely come to Alabama for sure. All right, and Tommy says the top way to go is the pusher motorhomes with slide outs and a tow vehicle like a Jeep, but cost is a biggie. I'll check those out. And I'll definitely be up to New Hampshire. I've been up to New Hampshire many times, many. I used to rock climb up there. I've been rock climbing in New Hampshire so many times. I hope, goodbye for now in Poland. Dobry wieczór, Ivona. And, all right. And Bill Cotton is saying, colon, in a lot of cases, more like 3 megabyte carrier. Yeah, our internet's just too slow in the United States. It's like maddening. Last time I was there, I was like, what? I mean, because I travel the world a lot, and I see better internet in countries that, that you just, it hugely, definitely Los Angeles on my list, Daniel. And I'll come fishing in Alabama. I haven't fished in a long time. I'd love to go fishing and cook those fish up right on the beach. And Jim Buckley saying, ever been to Dixie Crossroads Seafood Restaurant in Titusville? If I have, I don't remember. I mean, I've been to Titusville quite a lot of times. But Titusville is definitely one I want to hit, because I want to go hit Kennedy Space Center again. Been a long time since I've been to Kennedy Space Center, but I've been there many times. And Hamilton, Georgia, I'll see you up there. And Canada, I was thinking the same, because on Canada-wise, I was thinking so many ways to do the route, as you know, and it would depend on what time of year you want. You know what I mean? Obviously. It's better to be in the southern states, obviously, in the winter. Otherwise, it's the whole icy road thing and all that. And so like Alaska and then the Canadian provinces, like I really want to hit all the Canadian provinces too. I haven't been out to like Nova Scotia before. I've been to a lot of the provinces on the, you don't have that many, but I've been on the other side, like BC and Alberta. But I want to go hit the east side as well. All All right. Sharon says, thanks, Michael. I'll be back when you're back. Great. Plus, you're looking great, by the way. Thank you. Doing a lot of that fasting. It's really good. Feels quite good, actually. I want to eat too. I want to have a good steak, but I'm not going to do it just yet. Joseph says, interprovincial borders in Canada could be closed. Quebec locked down its borders for a few weeks. Yeah, I'll definitely have to, guide according to what's open. Diana Sims, Hamilton is close to Fort Benning and the Infantry Museum. I got to go there. I got to go to the Infantry Museum. I spent so much time in infantry combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. With infantry soldiers. I have huge respect for infantry. It's like the worst job in the world, and it's really difficult. And it's always out there in the middle of it. All right, great talking with y'all. Mike out.